Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Jyotirmaya Yoga. We focus on spirituality, a journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings of the scriptures and to enjoy daily satsang with us. We are currently exploring the book The Art of Positive Feeling, authored by Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj and narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently discussing the vice greed, also known as lobha, and its implications. Nothing can bring you true contentment except the philosophical understanding that an all knowing God has provided for you all the important ingredients for your evolution. Every day, at every moment, the divine computer has worked out the exact situation that must be presented before you and the resources to deal with them effectively. Resources such as your body, your mind, your intellect, the people around you, and all your circumstances. In order to be truly prosperous, you must have a good internal disposition, a mind that can relax, an intellect that can reflect, a heart that can turn to God. If that type of internal wealth is there, then you are truly prosperous. But if you have only outer prosperity and internally you are hollow, then your prosperity is a kind of joke played by nature. In order to curb greed and promote true contentment, you have to understand philosophically that the purpose of human life is to attain enlightenment or God realization. You can enjoy objects of the world, but as the story of the blinded merchant suggests, you should not have both your eyes directed towards them. One of your eyes should be kept towards God, the other towards the world. The eye that is directed towards God is your intuitive intellect. If you have intuitive intellect, then you have an eye that is intact. The world process is like that ointment we discussed. You never apply it to both your eyes, the physical as well as the mystical. You have to keep the mystical eye open. If you apply the ointment of the world process to the mystical eye too, if you allow your intellect to be colored by the world, then you go stone blind. All your achievements become nothing. But if you keep your intellect intact by not letting the world touch it, then you enjoy the world. That is, although you live in the world, you have a sense of detachment and freedom that lets you know that you are above the world. The ascetic was a spiritual teacher who tried to give the merchant this understanding, but the merchant wasn't ready. So he succumbed to inordinate greed and had both eyes blinded. As the fate of the merchant indicates, every desire that you go after with intense greed will box your ears. Some twist or painful experience is always implied in the fulfillment of uncontrolled desires. Like the blind man, the soul that is deprived of the mystical vision of the self experiences degradation. Led by greed, the soul is unable to discover its unity with the Absolute. But when the flame of greed and craving is extinguished, you possess double consciousness, an internal intuitive vision that I am one with God, and an external pragmatic vision that allows you to live with practical reality. Even though you live in the world, you possess a dimension to your personality that allows you to see beyond it. Not to become totally immersed in the world is the great secret behind all religious and spiritual philosophy. Everyone is led by a process that forces him to be in the world. Everyone is compelled to do certain things, to undertake certain projects, to discover certain talents, to achieve certain things in the world. We all do that. But if you lose sight of the inner self, as you do all these things, then all your achievements become nothing and you end up feeling humiliated like the blind man who had lost all the treasure. On the other hand, if you discover that transcendental dimension within yourself, you will perform your duties with purity of mind and you will not embark upon a project because of uncultured desires, egoism, and pride. The work you do will bring about harmony and peace, and it will be auspicious for humanity. The quality of your work will be spiritual, it will carry a heavenly fragrance. In addition, you will develop an awareness that you are not the doer, you are ever free. Even though you might be working hard to accomplish things in the course of your daily life, inwardly you will feel that you are free and untouched. Even if the greatest calamity were to befall you, it wouldn't shake you. Storm clouds gather, thunder rumbles, lightning flashes, but the sky remains unaffected. Like the sky, you are ever untouched. If that vision were to enter your heart and linger there, your life would be extremely joyous. Referring to the parable, it would be like getting the entire treasure and the box of ointment at the same time and yet keeping one eye safe. But if you do not keep one eye safe, the inner spiritual eye, you wander in a land of illusion, groping in darkness, tumbling from embodiment to embodiment. Another folly we do is compare ourselves to others. A greedy person is not aware of his own resources. He is only aware of what others have and always thinking that others are better off than he is. He becomes like a dog in the manga. A dog sees food in front of the other dogs and thinks that that food is much better than his. As a result, he goes on barking instead of enjoying what he does have. The following adaptation of an ancient story illustrates this point quite graphically. Once a man practiced a lot of austerity. As a result, his deity came before him saying, "Ask any boon and you shall have it." The man replied, "May I be rich and prosperous." Hearing that, the deity, who wanted the devotee to gain spiritual understanding as well as material wealth, said, "Everything that you ask will be given to you, but in addition, your neighbors in a 1 block radius from your home will get double of whatever you get." At first, the man could not understand the implications of his deity's words, and he was quite pleased with his good fortune. He went to his home, an ordinary home, and said, "Let there be a mansion with a nice roof." Immediately, everything became as he requested, and he admired his mansion with amazement. Then he looked out of the window and saw that his neighbors had double the mansions, much bigger, nicer. Then he said, "Let there be a beautiful garden blooming around this house." So it happened, but the neighbors got flourishing gardens twice the size of his all around their houses also. As a result of his neighbor's double prosperity, the man's heart began to burn with jealousy every time he asked for something. Finally, his mind became so upset that he came up with a diabolical plan. First he wailed, "Let there be a well in front of my house." Of course, the others got 2 wells. Then he said, "Let me be only one-eyed." His scheme was that by wishing to become blind in one eye, all his neighbors would become blind in both and readily fall into the wells that adorned their property. However, that boon was not granted by the deity. Rather, to teach the greedy and jealous devotee a spiritual lesson, he was left with one eye and a well, while the neighbors all had 2 eyes and 2 wells and everything flourishing around them. As the story reveals, there is so much illusion involved in trying to secure happiness through wealth. A greedy person is always comparing himself to others, and what he has gained is never enough. A millionaire is very happy unless he meets a billionaire. Then he feels like a little rabbit before him. Since there are always people who surpass you in some way or the other in wealth, health, looks, power, fame, the human heart can always be discontented if it chooses to focus on that. Thus, yoga teaches the importance of not comparing yourself with others. Everyone has been given the best situation for their advancement and they are unique. What you have been given, no one else possesses in exactly the same way. With this, we conclude our satsanga for today. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.